welcome. I'm going to be painting my nails again today. I am so sorry for my absence, and it's just a very casual video today, just to catch up and spend some time together after I've been away. I have unfortunately been grieving, and it has been an extremely challenging time. I hope that this simple video today will cheer me up, and I'd like you to know that I'm doing quite well, all things considered, and that I'm being well taken care of, and I'm taking care of myself well too, and that I'm looking forward to just refreshing something today, refreshing my nails. So I've had this kind of wacky design on them for the last 2 weeks. I'll try and show you up close if it will focus. So obviously you can see that it's chipping away, but I've done this sort of marbled accent, the blue with the pearlescent pink, and then I've marbled my thumb as well. So just a bit of fun. But today I'm keeping things simple, I think, although maybe I'll change my mind. I'm thinking of doing just a very simple pearlescent layer, not opaque at all, and then maybe adding some confetti hearts, which you can see, hopefully, if I show you there. Yeah, some little hearts in there, and I can stick a couple of those on and just have something nice and cheerful. So let's begin by removing what is already on my nails. That is going to be easier said than done. Usually by now, by the time that my pinky fingers have chipped, the rest of my nails can quite easily be sort of chipped off, but not this time. For some reason it's really clinging on. So I'll show you what I do in that situation. And it's a combination of two things. The first thing that I do, and hopefully the only thing I need to do, is use this magic gel remover by Miley. All of the products I have are from Miley because I bought a kit from them, but it's obviously not sponsored or anything, and I'm sure that this product is made by lots of different companies. Anyway, you buff the nails and you paint this on just like polish, and it dissolves the polish. The other thing that I might use, if that's not quite strong enough, is I would just soak them in some acetone-based gel remover. But ideally this one will do the trick. I'll use an emery board. And these are really coarse, they're like sandpaper. I'm not sure if that's a pleasant sound. Sorry if not. Anyway, I'll be buffing away now, making the surface of each nail rough and matte. So I've done the left hand, and you might be able to see that it's lost all of its shine on the nails. That's what I'm looking for. So I'll keep going now on the right hand. So I'm done buffing the nails now. I'll just collect up the dust. it always creates so much. And I like to tidy it away for the moment, just so that it doesn't get in the nails as I'm painting them. And then I'll sweep it away at the end. So, now we go for the magic gel remover. I'm thinking that I've probably almost run out of this, so I'm hoping that there's enough. And I just paint it on like polish, but it's really thick and kind of grainy, like it's full of crystals or something. Anyway, I do a nice thick layer and I try and dab it in so that it seeps into the abrasions that I've made. And sometimes it can feel a bit funny when it starts to work because it peels the polish away from the nail, so you can feel it sort of lifting. And I probably should be getting less on my skin. I'll go more carefully. I can feel my thumb nail polish lifting up a little bit. Also feeling quite a lot of stinging on my thumb skin, so I'll tidy that up quickly. I find it best not to think about what chemicals are in these things. Pinky fingers usually pretty much peel on their own, so I expect they won't need much encouragement. Please forgive if you can hear my, well, they're not my neighbours, but the people living behind my building. I say they're not my neighbours because it's a building back there which just does sort of holiday rentals, and so I guess they're just here on holiday, and we are constantly having to hear people just yelling. And last night they were obviously having a party, and yeah, these are not my favourite people who have come to stay. They're very noisy, so I apologise if you can hear them. Every time there's a very noisy resident, I just have to tell myself that they're probably only here for another week or two. So, just getting this lathered on. By the time I'm done with my right hand, I'll check in on the left. I'm not feeling that it's working particularly, actually. I've been feeling like as the bottle's running out, it's becoming less effective for some reason. I wonder if there's a reason for that. So I then grab this tool. I have no idea what this is called, but it has a sort of, I don't know what you'd call that, almost like a knife edge, and it's not very sharp obviously, but a, yeah, kind of blade end and then a scoop end. And I use the scoop end as a scraping tool. So I'll start with the pinky because that was the first that was peeling away. Yeah, so you can see hopefully that this stuff I've painted on just really softens the polish and that I can scrape it away. it's going to make a real mess, but I'd rather see a little bit of a mess than that my nails are getting damaged. So there we've got one nail bare already. Let's see if the other ones are softened enough. Yeah, maybe, although I might need to go with the acetone on some of these. I try not to mix chemicals, so if I do need to use the acetone, I will rinse my fingernails and sort of start again. But I prefer not to use acetone if I can. It's quite unpleasant to breathe in and takes longer. You have to sit there and really soak the nails. Now, the end of this is being a problem, so what I'm going to do is paint back on some more. Come back to it in a few minutes, and if that doesn't work, then, as I say, I'll soak it in acetone. But the real thing about gel polish is that it creates a pretty indestructible substance. So it can be very hard to dissolve away. Oh, there you go. It's quite clean. Got a good little peel. It's also very satisfying and tempting to just peel off the whole nail without softening it. And I do that sometimes, but you really shouldn't, because some of the nail underneath does also peel away. And I think one of the reasons why this is being so stubborn at the ends is because that has happened before when I've peeled the polish off recklessly. The nail underneath becomes rough because it's been sort of damaged. And so the next time you paint the nails, the polish really clings on. We persevere. I do think that if you want to paint your nails with gel, it can make them really nice and strong, and that's great. But you probably should, every maybe 2 or 3 months, spend a couple of weeks with either just regular polish or no polish on, just to give your nails a chance to regrow without the slight damage that happens when you remove the polish each time. Or, in fact, what I'd like to try is a peel-off base coat, which is, I think, pretty self-explanatory. It's, instead of having to soften the polish and then chip it away, it just peels off. But the problem with that, of course, is that it might peel off while you're still enjoying the nail polish. You don't get to choose when to take it off as such. Well, the thumbnail is being very tricky. I'd like to know what kind of videos you want to see. It seems that my record video did quite well. Happy to make another one of those. I've got lots of records. Let's have a look at this. But yeah, let me know what you'd like me to make. I know that this, watching me doing my nails possibly isn't the most interesting. But it's something I was going to do anyway, and it's been on my mind that I haven't uploaded. So I hope you'll accept it as my kind of easing back in. I appreciate those of you who have subscribed so much. I am really, really grateful and moved that 26 people liked what I make enough to support me. And that has given me something really lovely to think of in a very difficult time. It's easier. There we go. Off quite straightforwardly, although maybe you can see there are some scratches in the nail from that, so that's what I'm talking about. Even when you soften it first and then peel it away, you still get a bit of damage to the surface. And, I'm not in a precarious situation yet, but sometimes I've painted my nails a lot and you just have to think, they need a chance to regrow. So on this nail, if you remember from last time, I've got that bruise from when I fell on the stairs. And it's almost completely grown out now. But it takes a long time for something in the nail bed to grow all the way to the end. It's harder to be gentle on my right hand, of course, because I'm having to use my left, and it's just much less precise. Now, this bruised nail has been weakened by the bruise, the damage, so it's likely to need to be shortened. But we'll see. That blue is not coming off. Oh, the pink is though. There we go. Last one. And then we'll just do a bit of clean up. The blue came off this nail much more easily. As I say, we're going over with a sheer coat, so I don't really want the previous colour left behind. So let's tidy up this hand and then try and deal with this blue. In fact, I'll just throw a bit more of this on. It's quite laborious taking off gel polish, I have to say. It's part of why it's so tempting just to chip it away. If you are going to do that, which I suggest you don't, but if you are, it is generally a good idea to have had like a hot shower or bath first and just make sure that the polish is really warm. Just tidy away all of this mess. So now we've got relatively kind of messy but bare nails, and you can see that some of them are really quite long, and so now we'll do some shaping. And I love having long nails, but if we have, for example, these two which are quite different lengths, I like to make them a bit more symmetrical, and also the longer they are, the more likely they are to break. And I'm always interested in feeling that I can do whatever I want to do with my hands. I don't want to be worried about my nails breaking. So we come back to my good friend, the broken nail file, and as always start at my left thumb. When I was younger, my nails used to really bend, and now they're very tough. And I think on the whole, that does mean that they're stronger, but it also means that they're brittle. So with enough force or the wrong angle, they could definitely snap or crack. I went for quite a rounded shape last time, but I think this time I might go for more of, I think it's like a stiletto is what people call it, although with a rounded end. I don't know what we would call that. I've never really done my nails that way, but kind of thinking of trying something different. Take can see the shape I've gone for. It's quite pointed and rounded. I have never done my nails like that before, but I think I want to feel a bit more fabulous than I have been feeling. When you're going through something difficult, it can be nice to just switch things up. Something really innocent, something like the way you do your nails. I'll have to properly wipe the table later. There's lots of dust happening today. But I have shaped up the nails and now we prep them and paint them. I get this nail prep and wipe solution. And just take all the dust and sort of grease off each nail and under the lip of the nail as well. On my last video when I painted my nails, somebody complimented my hands and also my technique, and I really appreciated that. I've always thought that I have quite nice hands, and I think it really adds to your character and your presence to, you know, to the way that you move your hands, the way that you hold things, the way that you gesture. And that to me is why I paint my nails. It's not so much about beauty as kind of your hands really frame your life, because they frame everything that you touch and hold. But also I really like to talk with my hands when I'm talking to other people. I use a lot of hand gestures and they kind of add to my character, and so to feel that I have nice, well-kept hands is a real bonus to my confidence. And I go a long time without painted nails sometimes, but I can really tell when they're nice and kept. Feel a bit different. So that's just me peeling off the layers underneath the edge of the nail, just because when you really take a lot of length off, you can end up leaving some small amount of the nail kind of hanging. So there you go, they're all, apart from that little bit there, all good to go. I'm feeling the fragility of the bruised nail. I'm going to take real good care of that one. But it's, you know, you can see that the bruise is really at the edge of the white of the nail. And so if it were to break, I'm not too worried about it. It would break along the overhang rather than in the nail bed itself. So I'm feeling relatively calm about that. So now I get out my polishes. So I've got the base coat, the top coat, and the shimmer that we're going to be using. But the confetti is also a top coat, but I'm probably just going to pick out the little hearts. I'm not necessarily going to use it as a top coat all over. Because I can take away the rest of that for now. And just focus on these. So starting with this base coat. Super simple, just clear. And I think it's quite satisfying because it just turns the nails from matte to shiny. I think these sort of pointed nails are going to be really nice for tapping on things. At the end of the video, maybe I'll tap on some stuff and Sometimes I take the polish a little bit under the sort of lip of the nail as well, but because it's been clinging on so strongly when I try and take the polish away, I don't think it needs that extra reinforcement. I just put my hand in the lamp and turn it on for a minute. And then I tend to do one hand and then the other, so I'll just do the whole left hand and then move on to the right hand, because the gel polish, each layer that you put on is sticky. So if you were to go from one hand to the next continuously, you might find that you're kind of getting stickiness on your fingertips and it's just sort of annoying. So I find it's easier. And then at the end, with the final layer, once you've done the top coat, you would use the prep and wipe to take away that sticky layer. So that's why I do one hand and then the next. And it's sort of laziness, the reason why I do the left hand first. It's because it's obviously easier, more natural to use my right hand. So that's done. I'm just noticing like a little bit of fluff. There we go. So now we're just shiny on these nails. You can see that there. And we go for our pearlescent polish. So this just has a light shimmer in it. It's not particularly opaque. And I'm just going for that today because I feel like having a bit of an accent without a distraction on my hands. And I have quite a limited range of colours. I haven't actually bought that many colours for myself. So it's a lot of pinks and a couple of reds. And for some reason, just none of them were calling out to me, and I just thought, you know what I want is just a bit of a pearlescent shimmer. So it's easy enough, just painting it all over. And as I say, it will just give a bit of an accent to my hands. Something a little bit eye-catching and polished, literally. There we go. I've noticed a little bit of there we go, roughness, so I've dealt with that. And put them back in the lamp. It's always important to keep your polish sealed when the lamp is on, because obviously if the UV were to get to the polish in the bottle, then it would start to solidify. So I sometimes see people like leaving the brush lifted or sort of out, resting on the surface or something. And then this light, even though it's not very much, is travelling over. And you start to get a bit of like encrusting on the brush. But if you just keep it always contained in its blackout pot, then that doesn't happen. And your polish remains perfectly good to use for a really long time. I find that these bottles last really well. I very rarely buy a new one. I'll go for another layer. Maybe I'll do 3 layers of this to make sure it's really not opaque, because it is sheer, but that the shimmer is well distributed and each nail is nicely coated. Another nice thing about this sort of sheer polish is that you don't really need to worry about how neat you are with it. It's pretty much gonna look good no matter what. So I'll go for another zap. And I think I will do a third coat, and then we'll put a little heart on and then seal it in with a top coat. It is definitely really nice and quick to paint your nails with gel, because each layer obviously only needs a minute. And the other thing about it is, if you like to do a bit of nail art, if you like to put some designs on, like when I did the marbling, you've got as long as you want to do that design, because it doesn't dry in the air. And that's really, really handy. It's really versatile. So we're nearly done. Must only be a couple of seconds left now. It's done. Let's see how it's looking. That is quite nice and pearly without even having to do a third coat, but I think I'd like one. Sometimes when I get a bit too much on the brush, I just distribute it before I start slathering it on. I do tend to do quite thick layers, and maybe that's just sort of laziness, I don't know. Maybe I should do more thin layers, but I find that it cures just fine. I don't think you need to kind of worry too much with gel. Okay. So I'll just do like a 30-second cure. It halfway there, stick on the hearts, and then finish the cure. I really need to invest in a tool that I can use to better apply the hearts, but I tend to either just kind of wing it with the brush or use the pointy end of my scraping tool. Just to kind of, I dab it on and then position it with the pointing tool, whatever it's called, I don't know. The trouble with that though is that you tend to get a lot of the kind of clear coat of the top coat that the hot confetti is suspended in. So it can make a bit of a glob that you can see I've just put on a little heart there, just as an accent. I'm not sure how many nails I'll do that on. Let's see, maybe all of them. Just gotta try and not let it slide around, that's the trouble. It also makes you really realise how your nails are just not at all symmetrical. When you've filed them, you think they look good and symmetrical, and then you try and line up a bit of confetti and suddenly you're like, oh no, that's not very good. Okay, so I just 5-second cured that just to get it in place. Yeah, I think I want hearts on all of my nails. I think I'm kind of feeling that way at the moment. So something that I might do is just get this and kind of try and collect up the hearts. Although maybe I can just use this tool. So I do want some of the clear sticky top coat that they're suspended in, because that's obviously what sticks it down and what holds it in place, but you don't want too much. So the fun thing about these hearts is that they are also pearlescent. They're not just flat pink. They're kind of shimmery when they catch the light. So it's kind of a double layered effect. And I'm not super like girly, but when I was young, I interpreted things that are feminine, traditionally feminine, as being weak and uncool. And actually, sometimes it's just pretty. So I've really found my way back to shimmer and pink and hearts and, just pretty things. So once those hearts are cured and attached, I will then just do a layer of base top coat, and then do the prep and wipe solution again to take away the stickiness. And then that's the left hand done. And I'll just do my right hand. But I really like how this is turning out. I think it's really simple, but it's also a nice design. It's a little bit more than just one colour. I do go relatively thick on the top coat when I've put some glitter on, because obviously if it's thin, then the glitter is possibly going to be kind of scuffed off as I'm going about my day. And I want it to feel really nice and locked in, secure. Okay, perfect. We're taking our time today, going nice and slow. But most of our time, I think, so far was spent on taking off the previous nail polish. So hopefully we'll whiz through the right hand. Okay, and let's give them a wipe down. I really like these nails. I've never done them like this before, but I think it's subtle but also really interesting. So there we go. They are pearlescent pink with a little heart on the end of each nail, and they feel really fabulous. So let's do the same again on the right hand. You can see how different that is. Really adds something. Yes, I love them. You can see that the hearts are a bit wonky, but what can you do? So let's go back to the beginning. Base coat. Just dabbing it over the nails so that I don't put too much on my thumb. Okay, put it in. The base coat always feels quite hot when it goes guess because it's the layer that's closest to my actual body. We'll do 3 layers of our pearlescent polish. I think the trick to not getting it all over your skin is to just brush quite lightly. I sometimes see people really pressing down with the brush, and there's no need. It's more of a waft of the brush over the nail. And the nail kind of naturally sticks out, so that means it doesn't really go on the skin. Whenever I paint my right hand, I'm sort of spending time admiring my left hand, getting used to my new look for the next 2 weeks. I think it's really cool how you can see the whites of the nail underneath. Just gives it a bit of dimension. Obviously sometimes we paint that on separately, like a gel, a French manicure. But I've always had quite nicely proportioned nail beds so that the white is pretty clean, and it seems like a shame to paint over that and then to put the white of the nail back on, if that makes sense. So sometimes I do love to do a sheer colour that still shows the white. So we are back on the confetti train. I just partially cured the nails. I picked up lots of hearts at once. Let me just put them all on. Try and do it all in one. Oh, I put 2 down on one nail. That'll teach me to try and rush it. I decided to put the hearts on the tip of the nail in the hope that I can strategically cover up my bruise. Yes, I can, quite well. that's about the best I'm going to get. Just do 5 seconds to lock them in. And then I'll do the other 3 nails. I've got to kind of catch the hearts. Maybe I'll use my tool. Alright, there's 3 hearts. Try and put them all on a different nail each. 1. I think I've lost one of them. No. 2, 3, okay. I always get impatient with the right hand. It's so much trickier anyway. There's it's a bit wobbly. There's one. There's 2, just about. It's taking all of my focus now. 2. And 3. Okay, they look okay. Just get rid of that excess top coat. Alright. And I'll just do 30 seconds just to lock everything in. And then finish off with our regular old clear top coat. And there we go. So after this is finished, I'll wipe away the stickiness on the nails and just tidy up my polishes. I apologise that I'm not super conversational, or that this isn't necessarily the most interesting video. I have found so much comfort in ASMR in these past few weeks, and it means so much to me to be part of the production of ASMR as well as the consumption and enjoyment. And I think it's one of those wonderful crafts where there are so many different types of it for so many different people who just enjoy relaxing in different ways. And one of the ways that I enjoy relaxing is just watching somebody do something soothing and just quietly tell you about it. So if you like that too, then this is for you. But it's also for me. It's part of my healing. To get back to doing things I enjoy. And it's really hard. Anyone who's ever been bereaved will know that it feels impossible go back to enjoying your life. So, thank you for being a part of that. Let's tidy these things away. I usually have this nail polish, whichever nail polish I decided to do, so, the gel polish. It lasts about 2 weeks. So I will probably have these nails in my next video, and those who were there, they know how I did them. So thank you so much for joining. Let's tap on some things to rein ourselves in. Oh, that's good, isn't it? Let's do the bottles. Nice hard nails.